What's up, everybody? Louie back here again for another fun week of fights. We just got past those two amazing pay-per-views. Did bad last weekend. I took too many underdogs, and not very many underdogs hit. You know, everybody did their job, basically. The underdog that hit was Chris Curtis and Phil Hawes, and that was the one where I felt confident Phil Hawes would be okay in the slugfest, because Phil Hawes is the guy cracking people with big shots. But, you know, Chris Curtis, you know, can't be anything but happy for him. But, you know, pretty good card. Frankie Edgar, Marlon Vera, you know, very competitive fight. Marlon Vera got it done. Frankie was able to pull out the wrestling first couple rounds, and Marlon was able to stuff it. So, you know, good for him. Showed progression in that fight. And then, you know, Chandler and Gaethje, that's a coin flip. Amazing fight. And then I did, you know, rest of the main card, you know, Rose, close fight. And then Usman, a lot closer than I would like it to be, but he got it done. Can't put money against Usman. So, you know, just betting on too many underdogs, but, you know, kind of a weird card, honestly. You had some crazy-ass fights, but, you know, this week got a little more tame. Not as many high-profile fighters fighting, but we got some good matchups, and we got some people trying to make their name. We got UFC Vegas 42, Max Holloway taking on Yair Rodriguez. And, you know, winner gets a title shot next, in my opinion, in the featherweight weight class. So it should be fun. And then you got Ben Rothwell taking on Marcos Rogerio de Lima, which should be fun. And then you got Miguel Baeza and Chaos Williams. Should be a fun card. So let's get into it right now. The third fight on the main card, third fight on the prelims, you got at women's flyweight, you got Courtney Casey taking on Liliana. Jojo. Courtney Casey, she took on J.J. Aldrich her last fight. In the first round, she's able to stuff a single leg against the fence, but then she crashes into her and lands a right hook, and then she gets the plum tie and lands knees to the body, and then lands elbows on the break, and then she lands a right hook, and then she gets an underhook in the collar tie, and then she's able to separate, and then, but she gets a takedown, but she gets taken down and once she's throwing the knee, so you got to watch out for that. But then on the bottom, she's able to thread the arm bars, and then to get back on the feet, she shoots a single, but she gets snapped down in a fight headlock. She tries the Kimura, nothing comes out of it. Second round, she stalks forwards and lands right hooks, but her kick is caught, and she pulls guard, which, bad decision. But pulls guard, and they sit in full guard, but then she eats ground and pound from three-quarter mount, and then back on the feet again, she gets taken down with an inside trip on the fence. No bad ring IQ there, in my opinion. But then in the third round, her kick is countered, and she eats a 1-2, and then she eats another 1-2. And as JJ is getting inside of her, JJ is able to get inside of her and land more shots. Now, and then she lands a stiff right in the pocket, and then she lands a straight right, and then a flurry. But then she gets taken down with the single leg as she's coming forward. But then she lands counter hooks as JJ presses forward, and then she lands a straight right, but she eats a head kick. Then she lands a 1-2, kind of go back and forth there. And then Liliana, she took on Miranda Maverick her last fight about a year ago. In the first round, she landed straight right. She eats a 1-2 as Maverick gets inside. But then she eats a counter 1-2 and then a leg kick. But then she lands a counter right off of Miranda's leg kick at range. But then she eats a 1-2 at range. And it's able to split her guard. So she has her guard up, but Miranda's able to split her guard. So it's not really working. But then she eats straight lefts at range. And then she eats a left elbow. And in exchange, busts her nose up. And then, you know, doctor stoppage after the round. You hate to see that, but, you know, Miranda was doing a lot of damage on her. So, Liliana plus 195, Courtney minus 240. I don't know. Honestly, low-level women's MMA, minus 240. Hate the price. I don't like Liliana. I don't see really any threats here. You know, at least, you know, I think Courtney's striking is going to be more on point. Hopefully she doesn't pull guard. I don't know. It is what it is, dude. Price sucks. My pick here is Courtney Casey. Right on the prelims at 145, you got Tronwoodson taking on ColinAnglin. Woodson took on Yusuf Zalal his last fight. In the first round, he eats a left hook as Yusuf is able to close the range, but he stuffs a double against the fence, and he's able to duck the hook and land a 1-2, but then he gets taken down with a double against the fence. But then in the second round, he's able to pump his jab at range and kind of circles out, kind of skirts along the fence, stuffs a double and a single on the fence, but then he eats a straight shot at range, but then he pulls guillotine at the end of the round. Not the smartest thing, but at least it was the end of the round, so whatever. And then in the third round, he's able to stuff a single on the fence, and he's able to defend a double. And then he presses forward, pumps his jab, and lands 1-2s. and then he's able to get the step over guillotine off of a single from Yusuf. Isn't able to finish it, but that was good because it was defense first shot. So showed some submission attempts there, and takedown defense was okay. ColinAnglin took on Melsick, bagged Azarian his last fight. In the first round, he eats a head kick and then an overhand left and then a body kick as he's pressing forward. But then he lands a knee to the head and with a plum tie. He eats a left hook and he gets pressed to the fence. But then he lands a straight right and then he's able to get the double leg. But then back on the feet, he eats straight lefts and he gets clinched up. But then he gets rocked with a straight left and then hammer fists from Melsick. Then in the second round, he eats 1-2 at range, eats a straight left, gets pressed, and then he gets TKO'd with a head kick, with a left head kick. So, chin's really not that great, I guess. And, was doing okay before that, but, getting hit too much. Sean Woodson's not a power puncher, but, Sean Woodson tries to be accurate, and he can hit you, and he could overwhelm you. ColinAnglin, plus 260. Sean Woodson, minus 335. Yeah, dude. I don't know. I don't think Sean Woodson's worth minus 335. Don't like what I saw out of Anglin, but, I don't like that price at all. I think Anglin could land some shots. Anglin might be able to take Woodson down, or at least clinch him up and press him. Kind of slow Woodson down. My pick here is ColinAnglin. Fuck it. Okay, and then on the co-main event of the prelims at women's flyweight, 125 pounds, you got Cynthia Calvillo taking on Andrea Lee. Andrea Lee coming off a much-needed win in her last fight. So this is a good spot for her, a good spot for both ladies. Cynthia took on Jessica Andrade her last fight. It wasn't too long ago. It was in the end of September. In the first round, she skirts on the fence. She pumps her jab. She eats leg kicks, but she eats a right hook off of a jab, and then she eats a flurry. But then she lands a jab to the body whenever Jessica's coming forward. But then she eats a right hook as she's coming forward, and then she lands a jab, backs up, eats a counter left hooks off of her jab. But then Andrade is able to slip her jab and lands left hook in a flurry. And then she eats a right hook, eats a jab and a right hook, and then a flurry, and then just gets, TKO. Just couldn't move. Cynthia didn't mix in any wrestling or anything, which I think would have helped her. Just couldn't get off the fence, basically. Let Andrade press her. And then Andrea Lee, she took on Antonina Shevchenko her last fight. In the first round, she comes forward and lands a counter left hook. She gets the clinch of the fence, but she eats some knees to the body for her trouble. But then she eats a hook, but she gets the collar tie clinch, but Antonina is able to get the plum and land some knees on Andrea as Andrea is pressing forward. But then she eats a 1-2 at range when they separate. But then she lands a 1-2 and then a body kick and then a head kick, and she's able to rock her with the check left hook, and then she's able to get Dean's hat trap takedown. And then in the second round, she lands a spinning back fist, and then Antonina tries to take her down. She does a arm throw over her shoulder, and then she's in a headlock position. She's able to take that, and then they get back up, and she has underhook. She's able to get the hip toss from there, and then keep her down. And then, throw the triangle in from top position, and then literally work it for about 4 minutes. Sorry, I don't know all the technical aspects of the triangle, but she adjusts it. She moves to the side. She tries to pull the head down, and then finally she's able to get the arm, and she's able to put it under her armpit and extend fully, and you get the submission within with 20 seconds left to go. I thought that was impressive. Antonina, not a world beater, but very impressive win, especially off a losing streak like she had. Andrea Lee plus 115, Cynthia Calvillo minus 135, and this is a tough one. I don't know, man. I feel like Andrea Lee can surprise people. I think she's coming into her own. I think she got a lot of confidence off that last fight, and I think she may be able to get Cynthia down. I think we'll be competitive on the feet. She's underdog. My pick here is Andrea Lee. Moving on to the main event of the prelims at 155 pounds, you got Thiago Moises taking on Joel Alvarez. Moises coming off the loss of Islam Makhachev, no shame in that. So he's fighting somebody more at his level, and he is a good showcase here. But he took on Makhachev his last fight. In the first round, he lands body kick, and he throws a 1-2, and then he's able to get the clinch on the fence, but then he eats a 1-2 on the fence, and then he circles out, but then he gets the clinch, but he eats knees to the body from Islam, and then he gets taken down with a body lock lift. And then in the second round, he lands a straight right as Islam is coming forward, but he eats a 1-2 and then a body kick, but he's able to reverse the clinch on the fence, but he's able to get the double leg takedown on the fence, but then gets a little too overzealous and gets on the back, and Islam shakes him off almost immediately, and then he gets his back taken, kind of like referee's position for the rest of the round. And then the third round, he gets pressed forward, but he eats a straight right, eats a straight left, and he eats uppercut in a 1-2. But he's able to get the clinch. But then he gets reversed, and he gets mat return from the back, and he gives up his back, and then he tries a leg lock, but nothing comes of it. Just kind of trying to buy space, not get damaged. And then in the fourth round, he gets taken down with a double from space, but he gives up his back to get up, and then he just gets rear naked choked immediately from Islam. So put up a decent fight, but just made some errors in some positions, like giving Islam your back. It's like the number one thing you don't do. And then Joel Alvarez, hard to find tape on this guy. His last couple fights, just really quick submissions off of takedowns, but took on Alexander Yakovlev his last fight, round 1, gets a guillotine off a single from Joel, and then Joel doesn't get it, but he doesn't get the guillotine, but then he's able to transition and get the armbar submission from his back. Then he took on Joe Duffy, and then in the first round, lands a front kick, and then a jab, and then a leg kick, and he gets a guillotine off of Joe's double leg, and then just gets submission like that. And that doesn't work in high-level MMA. It's not going to work on Thiago Moises. Joel Alvarez is plus 215. Thiago Moises is minus 265. Price is a little high, but my pick here is Thiago Moises because you're not going to guillotine Thiago Moises. Okay, first fight on the main card at 135 pounds bantamweight. You got a fun one. You got a banger. You got Song Yadong taking on Julio Arce. Song Yadong coming off that close win of Casey Kenny. Entertaining fight. Good fight for him. Much needed win for him. Against Kenny, hit the first round. He presses forward, lands a body kick, throws hooks, but then he eats a counter right. Then he lands a left hook and then a 1-2, but then he eats a straight left while he's kicking, and he falls down, doesn't get taken down, just kind of, off balance. Then the second round, lands hooks to the body, lands a 1-2 to the body off of Kenny's kick, but then he stuffs a double against the fence, but then he eats a straight left from Kenny as Kenny moves in and out. Kenny was good with that, sticking and moving, but then he eats lead left hooks. Then in the third round, he eats overhand right as he's pressing forward. Then he lands a short right hook, but then he eats a knee to the head as he's pressing forward, but he lands right body kicks, but he eats a jab. And then he lands a right hook to the body when they're exchanging in the pocket, like a firefight. But then he stuffs a double, and he's able to land a blitz forward of his own. Then he lands body kicks, but he eats a straight right from Kenny. But then he lands right hooks to the body whenever they they just crash together, basically, and then he lands some hooks to the body, takes advantage of it, and then he gets taken down with 5 seconds left. Doesn't really matter. Close fight, split decision. Pulled it out. I thought he didn't have to win. Song just has a little more power. That was the basic thing for that. And then Julio Arce took on Andre Ewell's last fight. In the first round, he catches the kick and lands a short left, but then he rocks Andre with the straight left against the fence. Then he lands a double, and then he gets the clinch on the fence. And then the second round, he lands a left to the body, but then he eats a 1-2-3 from Andre as he comes in to kick, but then he lands a 1-2, and then he rocks him, and then just unloads on him with hooks, and he's able to get the TKO victory. So, Julio has some power. Julio Arce, plus 110, Song Yadong, minus 130. Line's really close. I like Song Yadong. I like his experience. He's been in a lot of close fights. Maybe that's bad, but, close fight with Marlon Vera. So that, he won technically, so that's good. And then, Julio Arce, I just feel like he's not active enough. I feel like Yadong's more active, has more power. My pick here is Song Yadong. Price isn't bad. And then the second fight on the main card at 170 pounds welterweight, you got Miguel Baeza taking on Chaos Williams. Miguel had fight of the year, I guess some people say, against Santiago Ponzinibbio, after getting knocked the fuck out by Li Jingliang, so good comeback for him. Baeza versus Ponzinibbio in the first round. Baeza pumps leg kicks, and then he lands as Santiago presses forward. Then he eats a jab, and a head kick. And then he lands a jab, and then an overhand right in the pocket. But then he eats a blitz on the fence. And, he was getting touched this round, but comes alive in the second and the third for sure. In the second round, he pumps a teep kick, and then he's able to rock him with the overhand right. And then he lands a straight right to the body, but then he eats jabs. But he lands an overhand right, he eats a jab at range, and then a 1-2, but then he gets pressed and eats a 1-2. So they kind of trade back and forth. But then he's able to stuff the double leg, but he keeps eating the jabs. But, you can tell he's coming on, and he's landing his shots here. And then in the third round, he eats hard leg kicks at range, but then he lands jabs and a straight right to the body. And then he lands a jab and then a right cross. He eats a hard 1-2 in the pocket, however, kind of like a firefight exchange. And then he eats jabs at range, eats a lead left hook, and then he eats a 1-2, but then he lands a 1-2 as he's pressing forward. And, you know, basically that fight was just a firefight. He got touched a lot, but he was able to return, and whenever he hit Santiago, he hit him more often in bigger spurts, and he hit him harder. So that was the difference there. And then Chaos Williams took on Matt Summelsberger his last fight. In the first round, he lands a hook flurry and a body kick, and then he gets the clinch, and he's able to keep the underhook and put his head in Matt's chest and make him carry his weight. You know, just doesn't do it for the hell of it. So really trying to make him carry his weight, trying to tire him out throughout the fight. I like that strategy. But then he eats uppercut and a right hook, but then he eats a straight right off of his kick. And then in the second round, he eats a 1-2 at range, but then he walks him down with a flurry, and then he's able to get the clinch again. But then he eats a head kick, and then he lands a counter hook. He lands a counter hook flurry off of a match jab, and then he blitzes, and he lands to the body. And then in the third round, he eats a 1-2, and he gets pressed, but then he lands a counter right off of a match jab. Then he's able to slip the uppercut, and then lands to the body, and then circles out, and just kind of keeps sticking and moving. And then, you know, when he gets the clinch, he keeps it there for at least 30 seconds. You know, stuck a move, landed his flurries, didn't get hit, didn't, you know, do anything stupid. Summelsberger, I like that. Chaos plus 125, Miguel minus 145. Close line here. I think that this is going to come down to close exchanges, and I'm going to go with Chaos Williams here just because I think he'll hit harder in the exchanges. I think he's a little bit faster. You know, as long as he doesn't rush in and get head kicked or one punch flash knocked out. I like him in these close exchanges here. I like his clinch work. My pick here is Chaos Williams. Feature fight of the main card. At women's featherweight, you got Felicia Spencer taking on Leah Ledson. Spencer took on Norma Dumont her last fight. In the first round, she eats a leg kick, and then she blitzes forward, but she's not able to land cleanly. And then she gets the clinch, but she eats a knee in the clinch, and then she lands a head kick and a short left in the collar tie. And then the second round, she eats a flurry as she's pressing forward, and she gets rocked. Then she eats a counter 1-2, and then she eats a left hook to the body into the head, and then she lands a straight right, and then she gets the clinch, but she eats knees, and then she's able to land a side kick on the break. And then in the third round, she eats overhand right as her kick is caught, and then she gets taken down, but she's able to kick off the hips and get up after about a minute or so, and then she gets a clinch on the fence, and she's able to defend the wizard kick attempt, and then she's able to get on top of her, and to end the round on top. So didn't really do, but you know, at least she has that ability to get on top, but you know, just a little slow the round, and Normal was getting her shots off more, countering more. Then Leah Ledson, she took on Julia Stoliarenko her last fight. Couple year layoff here. Had some medical issues, not exactly sure what, but 2018 was her last fight. But in the first round, she stalks and lands a 1-2. She eats a counter 1-2 off of a kick, but then she lands a straight right off of Julia's kick, but then she gets the clinch on the fence, and then she's able to land a straight left. And then the second round, she eats a head kick off of her jab, but then she stuffs a single, and she's able to land some ground and pound. Doesn't go up, doesn't go down with her, though, makes her stand up. But then she eats a counter straight right, and she lands a knee and an elbow in the clinch. And then in the third round, she lands a counter straight left off of Julia's kick, but she gets taken down with the single, but she keeps the wizard, and she gets right back up. And then Julia pulls guillotine, which is bad ring IQ on her part, and but Leah takes advantage, and you know, she was fine, and she was able to land some ground and pound. Didn't pass too much, but you know, definitely secured the round, got on the feet, didn't do anything crazy to end the fight. Nice victory for her. Leah Ledson plus 245, Felicia minus 310. Again, I don't know. Middling, women's, featherweight. Kind of crazy, but, you know, I don't like layoffs. But for whatever reason, I've noticed that the layoffs in the women's division don't matter as much as the men's. So I'm going to pick Leah Ledson here. Plus 245. I think she can get it done. I think she might be able to get a takedown. Fuck it. Okay, and then the co-main event of the night. You got a heavyweight, 265. You got Big Ben Rothwell taking on Marcos Rogerio de Lima. Ben Rothwell, he took on Chris Barnett, Huggy Bear, his last fight. Chris Barnett, amazing win this weekend. But in the first round, Ben stalks forward. He eats leg kicks, but then he eats a straight left, but then he lands a right to the body against the fence, and then he lands a straight right in the pocket, but then he eats a left hook from Chris, but then he lands a right cross and an uppercut, and then a straight right at range, and he gets the takedown with the underhook and the knee tap, sort of, but more like he just kind of bulldozed him over. And then he's able to get to the back, get the neck crank. Doesn't set it up properly, put any hooks in, but Chris is able to get out of it, but, still threatening submissions. And then back on the feet, and then he lands uppercuts from the collar tie, has overhand pop, pop, couple, which is really nice to end the round with. And then the second round, he lands an uppercut, and then a leg kick, and then a straight right, and then he lands a jab, and then an uppercut, and then a jab, and then he lands counter uppercuts from the outside, just kind of keeps his distance and just kind of pops him in whenever after Chris will throw. Just picks his shots, very intelligent fighter. And then he's able to get the snap down on Chris, and then just gets the guillotine submission, I believe. But, Chris was dead tired at that point. It wasn't super tight. Technique wasn't that great, but he got it done. Good fight for Ben. And then Marcos Rosario de Lima, a couple fights ago, just got thwapped by Romanov. And then his fight before this, not too much to go off of, but he fought Maurice Green. Then in the first round, he eats a launching one too, but then he lands a counter right to the body. And then he throws hooks, gets inside, able to get the clinch, and then he's able to get the body lock takedown and just sit and gets the half guard and just sits there up against the fence, throws punches, makes sure Maurice isn't going anywhere. And then in the second round, Maurice comes out swinging, lunging jab. Marcos ducks under it and gets another body lock takedown, just pulls him down and does the same thing, half guard, keeping the position, landing some shots. Then in the third round, does the exact same thing. So Maurice Green, not the greatest fighter, not the best ring IQ, but still pretty impressive to stay on top of him for literally the whole fight. Minus 30 seconds, But Marcos plus 140, Ben Rothwell minus 160. The price is really good here. I'm kind of surprised. Ben Rothwell is a veteran. I like him, dude. He's kind of that gatekeeper with Arlovsky, and if you want to beat him, you got to be damn near. You don't got to be elite, but you got to be close. You got to be on your way to being elite. I like Ben Rothwell. I don't think Marcos is going to be able to take him down as easily at all. I think Ben Rothwell is going to be able to stay at range, pick his shots, land an uppercut. My pick here is the main event. You got a banger at men's featherweight, 145 pounds. You got Max Holloway taking on Yair Rodriguez. Yair hasn't fought in a couple years. Suspended for a whereabouts violation. Doesn't mean he was juicing, but it means he didn't tell them where he was. Could have been juicing. Who knows? Hasn't fought in a while. Coming back to goddamn Max Holloway. No easy task. Didn't really do my traditional research just because such a strong feeling. And then Max Holloway's performance against Calvin Kattar, his last fight, sum it up, dude. Just walks forward, pieced him up. Straight shots, hooks, whatever, dude. Went to the body a couple times, pieced him up, hit him so many times that he was out on his feet, but he didn't go. Calvin Kattar, just such a badass, didn't go down, made his face a bloody mess. Made Calvin Kattar look like nothing, and Calvin Kattar is amazing. So that's what sticks in my brain. But Yair Rodriguez, he fought Jeremy Stevens, his last fight a couple years ago. I'm just going to do some highlights. In the first round, he gets the clinch to the fence, lands a right body kick. He lands a right, and then a left hook at range. Then he gets that axe kick, and then he lands a left hook. And then he lands a leg kick and then a right cross. And then he lands an overhand right, and then a back kick, and then he lands a leg kick, but he eats a straight right from Jeremy. So he was piecing up Jeremy, but then Jeremy would, if he was getting too overzealous, Jeremy would be able to pick his shots and wait for him, and would be able to counter with a hard shot. Then in the second round, he's able to drop him with a right kick to the body, and then he lands a flurry or ground and pound, unloads on him, just chases him in the octagon, and just hammer fist, whatever. Thinks he's going to finish him, doesn't finish him, so gets a little tired there. But then, back on his feet, he gets taken down off a spinning back kick, and then they're back on their feet, and Jeremy's around his back, and he eats a knee to the face, so that's kind of the story there. He has a lot of activity, a lot of in and out. I think he'll get himself tired over a 5-round fight. And then, dude, I just don't pick anybody to beat Max Holloway, certainly not somebody coming off a 2-year-long layoff. And, Yair Rodriguez, and then, got knocked out Not that that matters so much, but got knocked out by Frankie Edgar. Got knocked out by Korean Zombie with 5 seconds left. Excuse me, knocked out Korean Zombie with 5 seconds left, but was losing that whole fight. You know, Max's chin is legendary. Don't think we've ever seen him dropped. Barely even rocked. Takedown defense is good. The line, though, Max Holloway minus 720. Yair plus 500. I know, dude. But I remember last time, Max against Calvin, and it was a relatively even line. Remember how stupid we all looked after that? Yeah, dude, I don't care. I'm not going against Max Holloway. I don't got to do a deep dive into it. He's going to piece him up. Might get a finish, might not. I was thinking about the under-over. Under-over is 3.5 rounds. I don't know. I wouldn't say under. I would say over, but the over is like minus 180, so it's not really worth it. Kind of just got to eat this one, throw him on a parlay. But, yeah, basically the winner of this fight is going to get a title shot. I don't know how they don't. Max Holloway deserves it. 2 very close fights with Alexander Volkanovski and then Yair. You know, you beat Max Holloway, man. You beat arguably the champ. So it's a very important fight for both of their careers, and I'm looking forward to it, and I'm glad that Yair's back. All right, everybody, thanks for sticking with me. Sorry about last weekend, but it was a really fun card, and it's weird. I know I lost. I did bad, but, like, the matchups were weird, and, like, the fights were so awesome that, like, it was like, whatever, you know. I got the last couple fights right, and, you know, I took some gambles on Frankie Edgar. You know, you always feel better when you lose betting on dog. It is what it is. But like, subscribe, share, show people, leave comments, leave suggestions, get into fights with me. I want to talk about MMA with other people. Check me out on social, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. I'll do post-fight recaps, tweet some stuff, whatever. Try to tweet news, try to get my opinions on news whenever it happens on Twitter occasionally. Try to have some fun. Anyway, I appreciate you guys watching me and sticking with me and listening to me, and let's have fun. This should be a fun fight card, and let's win some money. Let's get back on track.